first grade is $20. Toddler time registration will be Thursday, November 21st, 11:30 to 1 in the gym. It's open to children 1 to 4, and the cost is free for Belmar residents. Non-residents is $25. The Belmar DPW, very, very busy, of course, especially ending up the summer. Just want to remind everybody that the rush must be placed out by this Friday for final pickup, Monday and Tuesday of next week. DPWs, they've read the meters, they're working on the Historical Society building. The Union Firehouse renovation is completed.
That part of it, historical, we're just getting to now.
That part, okay.
Change over.
Okay. They've done beach raking and sand placement, obviously on the beach. Parks and grounds, summer work completed, and already prepping for the fall. Obviously, a lot of work has to be done with the special events prep and cleanup. Moves on the beach were a success, and they helped set that up and break that down. And along with this, just their normal day-to-day duties. And also they completed the prep work for the water transferring back to American Water. When will that be?
We're scheduled for September 15th or thereabouts.
Okay, thank you. The BBP, following businesses were approved for awnings: Jack's Tavern, the Dance Studio, DeCarlo Fitness, and the Pet Store. It's great to see businesses becoming more involved with the BBP and taking advantage of that partnership. Cruise night that they had last Thursday, or the last time, was they had 175 cars participate. In fact, they had to turn cars away. It was that successful. And we anticipate even a larger turnout the third Thursday of the month. And basically, we are going to go down the side streets slightly just to accommodate for some of those cars. The Belmar flags, I don't know if anybody has seen some of the flags around town, but they are being sold at Salon Marcel on 10th Avenue for $50. They're beautiful. If you'd like one, it's partnering with the BBP, and I'm going to get one for my home. And Belmar Elementary School, tomorrow is the first day of school, official day of school, with Thursday and Friday being a 1 p.m. dismissal. So don't leave your kids there and forget what I've done. September 18th will be back to school night. Originally, the letters that have gone out will say September 17th, but they found out the Madison High School is having it the same night, and parents with children in both schools, they wanted them to be able to attend. So the back to school night will now be Wednesday the 18th at 6:30. Focus for the school this year, which I like, is personalized learning. We're working much more with children one-on-one and kind of adapting their learning plan to that child. And lastly, just a few things: San Gennaro Festival this coming weekend. The next weekend will be Belmar Pro, right? Is that the pro with it? Yeah. We've got the Tough Mudder Mud Band contest on September 21st. A lot going on. And please do not forget the fundraiser for Fred Foss at DJ's on September 28th. He needs all your support.
May I just speak on that real quick? I spoke to Fred today. We have somebody visiting him in the hospital pretty much every day. Since our last meeting, he's been in the hospital almost every day. He had a procedure on Friday. He had fluid gathering around his heart, so they did remove that. It was more complicated than they thought. Right now, he's got fluid in both lungs, and he's not doing as well as we all had hoped, but he is keeping a positive outlook. He's doing everything that he's supposed to be doing and more to fight it, and I just want to thank everybody in Belmar. Everybody's been more than generous so far in helping and offering to help for the fundraiser, which again, when you speak to Fred, his only concern was never, I wish I did this, or my bucket list, or I did anything. He says, I just want to do something for my 2 angels, and he cried. He just wants to make them have a brighter future. So many people have stepped forward, and I just want to say, as Brian had mentioned, what a great town it is. Thank you for all your support in helping Fred and us raise the money for his children. And again, DJs really stepped up for us, and we appreciate it. But the whole, as a community, everybody has been wonderful. So Fred, I did speak to him today. I told him as we at the meeting, I asked his permission to speak of it. He said, yes, please. But he also wanted to thank everybody. We give him daily updates on what we're doing, what we're raising, so he has has control over. But I don't want to trivialize anything that's going on with either his children or anything else, so he gives us the permission to go ahead and move forward. But again, thank you to everybody. I know if you haven't been seen by George Comidas, I'm amazed because he hit everybody in town as far as I know. And everybody else has been active also, but George is just amazing when it comes to getting the word out and helping and things like that. So again, thank you to everyone.
September 28th.
Thank you. To kick off my report, I'd like to bring up a great Belmar resident who has checks for us, so that's always a nice thing. So Miss Ellen, would you like to come up front real fast? By the way, Miss Ellen recently had a family reunion. She is one of 15 children. So there were busloads of people coming.
Good evening, everyone. The mayor, council. I'm not going to say too much. I'm tired. But I would like to give to Belmar Hurricane Family Fund this check for my dad.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry we couldn't do it on this.
No, thank you very much. That's extremely generous.
I also have one here for the Belmar Police PBA Association for the wonderful job that they do in Belmar. And I have one for the Belmar First Haters.
Thank you.
And the Goodwill Firehouse.
Thank you, Ms. Ellen.
Thank you. If anyone else has any more checks they'd like to thank you again, Ms. Ellen. So our summer was good, wasn't great. We should be happy with our numbers. I think our beach staff did an outstanding job. I appreciate the leadership of Director Campbell taking on responsibilities this year. I think it went over really well, so I appreciate that. One of the things we have had a few in town are burglaries. So, Chief, if you don't mind, sort of giving us an update as to where we are catching these scoundrels?
Yes, a few burglaries in town, mostly around the inlet terrace area. Some of the surrounding towns have also had burglaries around the water area. We've asked the residents to please, they're not, what they're doing is checking if the doors are open. Doors are open, they've been brazen enough to come in the homes. But we're trying to get the residents to keep their doors locked, keep your car doors locked. We have our own people out certain nights. I really don't want to tell you everything we're doing, because we don't want to tip our hand. But, I do have patrols out and they're doing certain things. And what we want to do is we don't just want to stop it, we want to catch them doing it. So we're also working with surrounding towns because they've had some also. And everyone's working together to see if we can find out who is committing all this work. We don't know if it's one person yet. But there's been some in Belmar, there's been some in Avon, we always have a few, but there seems to be more going on right now. So I'd like the residents to do when you hear is make sure that you leave all your stuff locked, car doors, your homes. They haven't broken into anything where they're using force to get in, but they're looking for easy targets. So we have patrols out and we're working on it just to keep you updated.
And I'll tell you, one of the scary things is that these things are occurring at night when people are upstairs asleep. So while, it seems like a simple thing to lock your door and one of the things that we may take for granted sometimes living in a community like this is we leave our doors unlocked. At night, lock your doors, otherwise you're potentially going to have someone walking around your first floor. So while they're not breaking anything, they are certainly being very brazen in that they're going into homes. Now, I know he doesn't have a degree in criminal justice, but I think that Councilman McGovern had a good idea about what you can do on your front porch to try to deter people from coming.
I just suggested, if you don't have a dog, just go to the pet store and buy a big dog bowl, buy a leash, a dog toy out there, put it out there because they don't know you don't have a dog. So really, you know, just put it out there, put a little food in there, you know, change it around, move it around. So.
I'm having my husband bark.
Councilman McGovern's comments are off the record. I want to bring up to date on some of the other projects. We have a lot going on. Aside from the presentation by SMRSA and addressing Lake Como, which evidently is a dam, even though it wasn't a lake. And then also what Chef's International is doing up at the marina. There's a ordinance on for first reading introduction tonight regarding Silver Lake. This is a hazard mitigation project that would run pipes down A Street from Silver Lake out to the inlet. So as opposed to relying on a single pipe that now goes into the ocean and gets caught in sand and doesn't have any water going out at high tide, this is a way to divert water from Silver Lake, which is a lake, not a dam, into the inlet and drain it much quicker. McCleary Park, we're still working with our friends at FEMA regarding getting financing for that project. That includes serious work that needs to be there. If you've been to McCleary Park lately, the bulkhead shot, there's a lot of work that needs to be done there. The dune system. If you remember the last council meeting we had, we heard that Avon had been rejected for their application to FEMA to rebuild their pavilion. Well, we haven't been rejected just yet for replacement. We think we too are going to be rejected. By the same logic, Manalocan was just approved for a $40 million project to install an engineered dune system where they're looking to take pieces of steel sheeting, put them into the sand, and then bury them in sand and put plants on them. That's exactly the same type of project that we're looking to do in Belmar, but our estimate, I think, is closer to $8 million. So, if the logic follows that things are going to look good for us because of Avon, should follow that things do look pretty good for us for the engineered dune system up at the beachfront. In addition, I know that you had a pre-construction meeting with the Army Corps of Engineers.
Yes.
When do we anticipate them starting their beach replenishment?
They are mobile. Belmar's contract went out in the Manasquan to Belmar Sept, and they are going to start mobilizing in Manasquan close to the end of the month. They will work south to north, and right now the schedule has them hitting Belmar in early spring. We are advocating as much as we can to have that in as early spring as possible to make sure that the sand is in place and dry and dewatered in time for summer.
Why is how they determine where? Just where it's most needed?
Sure.
I mean,
They have many aerial surveys where they look at the condition and depth of the sand over many years prior to Sandy, since Sandy. And they have determined that, and I can share those maps and we will put them online. I'm going to get them digitally. Where you can see that sand restoration needs to go to a certain level to get you back to pre-Sandy. And so for Belmar, what that means is beach replenishment will occur from the south of the town up to 9th Avenue. Because the beach from the 9th Avenue up to the fishing pier is still of substantial depth and height, mainly because of how the currents move that sand up north. And so there is sufficient beach there at this time. So that beach replenishment operation will go from the south end of the 9th.
As Councilwoman Nicolay mentioned, there is a fundraiser for Fred Foss. As many people as can attend as possible, please do. And we do want to thank our friends again at DJ's. There literally is no more generous business operating in this town than those guys. Anytime they're after something that I don't think they'll ever know. So when you see them, please thank them as well. Also, Councilwoman Nicolay mentioned San Gennaro this weekend. What she failed to mention is that Claire Dyke
Oh, yeah.
is the daughter of San Gennaro this year. So she will go by Claire D'Ambrosio. And she said she's going to speak in Italian, and not just the curse words she knows, but and she will be getting her SAT along with the business man, the business owner, and also the son of San Gennaro, this Saturday morning, 10 a.m.
Yes.
10 a.m. So if you can come attend, that's great. And then afterwards, we carry the statue down the street. We have an Italian man in front of us. And one of the new additions for this San Gennaro Festival, which I don't think you will find in the San Gennaro Festival in Lower Manhattan, only Mary Brabazon can come up with this, camel rides. We have camel rides at this year's San Gennaro Festival. Tom Dilberger is going to be first in line.
And they only understand Italian.
And they don't understand.
They're Italian camels. That, 2 humps, 3 humps?
I'm really thrilled. It's quite an honor for me. I really love my Italian heritage. I really do.
That's true. Everyone in town is going to be walking around saying hump day.
It's about to be great. I'm excited.
Wednesday, it's okay.
It's interesting to note that the son of San Gennaro is a gentleman, a former state senator, a former director of New Jersey Transit, who is Thomas Gagliano. I did not know this until it was told to me, but it's really a great life because Tom Gagliano and my father were great friends. So it's really, I was just amazed at that. We were the best of friends in Rotary and all of the civic organizations in Long Branch. So that's an extra bonus for me. How about that?
Excellent.
Yeah.
The business owner is Thomas Faragalli.
Has an Irish name.
O. Faragalli. And like everyone else, we want to wish our best to Brian's wife, Jane.
Are you?
And we're thinking about her next Wednesday. So please let me know that. And lastly, as a small preview of our next council meeting, sort of like I guess a teaser. At our next council meeting, we're going to be talking about freedmen's. To be continued at our next council meeting. That's all for me. We do have a proclamation that the council president is going to read because this is a special month.
Here it is, I got it. September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas 36 children in the United States will be diagnosed with cancer each day at an average age of 6 years old. Such a tragedy. And whereas 1 of 5 children diagnosed with cancer will not survive the disease, and whereas the types of cancers that afflict children are most often very different from those that affect adults, and whereas childhood cancer is not just one disease, but is made up of a dozen types and countless subtypes of cancer. And whereas childhood cancer spares no socioeconomic, ethnic, racial, or geographic class, and whereas pediatric cancer is the leading cause of death by disease in U.S. children under 15 years of age, and whereas the cause of most pediatric cancers are largely unknown and not strongly linked to lifestyle, unlike adult cancers, and whereas 2/3 of childhood cancer patients will develop long-lasting chronic conditions resulting from treatment, and whereas the childhood cancer rates have been rising for the past few decades, and approximately 11,630 children in the United States under the age of 15 will be diagnosed with cancer in 2013, And whereas cancer kills more kids than AIDS, asthma, cystic fibrosis, diabetes, and muscular dystrophy combined. Whereas in the last 25 years, only 2 drugs have been specifically developed for children's cancer. And whereas less than 5% of the federal government's total funding for cancer research is dedicated to childhood cancers, and only 3% of funds raised for the National Cancer Institute go directly to pediatric cancer research. And whereas the funding for pediatric cancer research has gone down steadily since 2003, and whereas despite the facts, childhood cancer research is vastly and consistently underfunded, and whereas despite major advances in treatment, it is still critically important to conduct research and increase awareness regarding pediatric cancer. Therefore, the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Belmar do hereby proclaim September 2013 Cancer Childhood Awareness Month in order to help raise awareness of pediatric cancer and its victims.
Thank you, Council President. Next, I have a motion to approve minutes.
I move that the minutes of the regular meeting held on August 7th, 2013 be approved as recorded, and that a copy thereof be posted on the borough's website.
Second.
Councilman Zaki?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Councilman Nicholas?
Yes.
Mayor Danner?
Yes. Next is public session on our resolution calendar. Any comments, questions on the resolution calendar? Raise your hand when you get called on. Come on up. Why?
Bill Merkler, 219 Second Avenue. I saw that there was a payment of bills on there.
Yeah, there's 2 payment bills.
Yes. Just wondering, I contacted Colleen Connolly. Actually, I went to the Borough Hall because after four calls to your Patty in accounts payable, we didn't receive a call back that there was a payment that was due over a month ago to Down to Earth Landscaping for work at Silver Lake. No call back, so I went down to town and actually caught Colleen, I guess, on her day off, walking outside, asked her to resolve it on Tuesday. She said that the Friday before, she said there was an issue with Paul, your Calabrese, your engineer. Called Paul. He said, Mr. Merkler, we have no problems with issues. I signed off on your voucher. So I called back, I actually went to town hall, you were off, saw you running out the door, you said you would look into it. I said, no problem, just get back to me on Tuesday. Called you Tuesday, no return call, and another call into your finance director and no call. Is there a payment for Down to Earth Landscaping for the work we did at Silver Lake?
Not for that.
What is the reason for that?
I had questions that I posed to the engineer, and I'm
Paul
still waiting to
Calabrese?
get back from
Okay,
you.
I spoke to Paul Calabrese yesterday morning
Okay.
and said that you had called him
Mhm.
and that the questions that that you asked were finalized, and I should have a check at this meeting.
No, Paul misspoke.
Is there an understanding of why your finance person and you won't get back to people?
No, not
No
at all.
excuse?
I spoke with you on Friday, and it wasn't my day off. I was actually walking into the building, not out, but thank you. And I told you I would look into it. I posed the questions to my engineer. I did get some answers back Tuesday afternoon. Payment of bills had already been issued. There are still a few more items that I've asked Paul to follow up with you on, and so when those are resolved, I'll absolutely be advancing the bill.
Okay, so when will Paul contact me, because I
I'll
just
make
spoke
sure
to him
Paul calls you
yesterday.
tomorrow morning,
Okay.
okay?
You promised Nordstrom's quality service here. As a resident, it was a Kmart blue light special at best. Things need to improve, people need to call people back.
And I appreciate you being more responsive to my engineer's concerns.
Okay, I contacted him 3 times, so after asking him 3 times if the voucher was signed, he said he signed it and approved it.
I'll have Paul call you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bill, I'll call Paul tomorrow.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Well, Jen, if you want to, you can. I mean, can you take care of it? Go ahead, thank you.
Any questions, comments on the resolution calendar? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to close the public portions for the resolution calendar. Second? Need a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I handed out a resolution earlier to add to the, after the bill list, we'll add another resolution to authorize the development for Silver Lake.
That's not on here already?
No.
All right, well, I'll make a motion to add by itself a resolution to go out to bid for Silver Lake. I'll make a motion to add that to the. I need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Now I'll make a motion to approve the resolution to go out to bid.
So moved. Second.
Councilman Deschy?
Yes.
Councilman Governor?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Councilman Nicholas?
Yes.
Mayor Dyer?
Yes. Next resolution is resolution authorizing payment of bills on list 1. I will offer and move for adoption. I just need a second.
Second.
Councilman Deschy?
Yes.
Councilman Governor?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Couple quick questions. On the vehicles, the $46,000, what is it? Can you tell me, is it for you, Chief? Hardware replacement computers, Hurricane Sandy expenditures, $32,000?
If I may, that was the computer and light outfitting of the vehicles for emergency personnel.
And also the mounting, $14,000?
Yes.
Okay, and you're saying again, on the record, we are turning this into FEMA.
We submit these bills to everybody possibly in
We did, this is gonna turn my vote. We did not hear back from FEMA on any of the vehicles. None. Not yet, no. Okay. Pavarotti, $500, what's that for?
We hosted a Belmar Music Festival on the beach last Tuesday.
And you played?
Hmm?
You did?
The band did, not, well, Pat, I think, had a medical emergency. But
But
the
his
band
band
did.
His band played?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and whose guitar are we repairing?
That is the guitar, that's the monument in front of the library, and it sustained some weatherization and damage, and we
Perfect.
had the local libraries do restoration.
Okay, thank you. I vote yes.
Councilman Nicholas?
Yes.
Mayor Dyer?
Yes. The next resolution, I will step off the dais, as advised by the attorney.
Do we have a motion to approve, doing bill list number 2?
So moved.
Is a second?
Second?
Councilman Deschy?
Yes.
Councilman Governor?
Yes.
Councilman Nicholas?
Yes.
In the record, it should reflect that Mr. Councilman Dean and Mayor Gordon stepped off and recused themselves from that.
Thank you. Next is the resolutions by consent.
Make a motion to pull one off, please.
Okay, which one?
Resolution approving special events.
Approving special events. Okay. Well, he made a motion, I'll second that motion.
Councilman Deschy?
Yes.
Councilman Governor?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Councilman Nicholas?
Yes.
Mayor Dyer?
Yes. I will offer a move for adoption, the resolution approving special events. I need a second.
Second.
Councilman Deschy?
Yes.
Councilman Governor?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
The Jersey Shore food trucks, August 17th, it already passed, who approved it?
I did.
You? Okay, what about August 4th? Triathlon, August 4th, who approved that one? That already happened.
Special events committee approved these. It's not exactly accurate to say that I did, but the special events committee met, approved the applications, and I signed off on them.
Belmar Music and Arts Festival, you as well? Okay, what about the Mudman X Bash, Beach Bash and Dash? That's coming up September 21st.
Yes.
You did that one as well?
The special committee, special events committee has reviewed, approved it, and then presented to your.
So you guys, if you approve all the ones that already happened, you approve the ones that are coming, why even bring us to our attention? I mean, why even do this?
The 3 events that you outlined were events that did not require borough resources. They were late informing. We were able to pull them off without additional DPW police expenses. And so they are following late after the fact for your approval.
What about the Mugman X? I mean, it's advertised everywhere. Obviously, somebody approved it, and they even had an article in the Co-Star about it.
That has not occurred.
Well, you're telling me that they did this without approval? Really? They put it online. They had the Co-Star write an article on it, and nobody from the council or the town told them they're allowed to do it.
It's not for your vote tonight.
Really?
If the town council voted no, then.
That is amazing. You know what? I don't know where these, who would ever think to advertise and to set the whole thing up without even getting town approval? You know what? I don't vote on things that have no, that my vote doesn't matter. It's called the Jim Beam rule. I'm going to invoke it. So I'm not voting. I'm abstaining. Thank you.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Garrett?
Yes. Next, I'll make a motion to move and approve the rest of the consent agenda. Need a second.
Need a second. I'll second.
Councilman Badaki?
Yes.
Councilman Dolan?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Councilwoman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Garrett?
Yes. Next are our ordinances. First ordinance 2013-13. Ordinance amending supplementing chapter 24 of the revised general ordinance of the Borough of Belmar to add section 24-3 prohibiting the feeding of wild animals. Stop feeding wild animals, people. I will open this up for public comment, questions, concerns. Any wild animals want to speak? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for ordinance 2013-13. Need a second?
Second.
Aye. Next, I'll offer move for adoption. Ordinance 2013-13.
Second.
Councilor Belmar.
Councilman Badaki?
Yes, and I just wanted to say that people on 15th Avenue brought this problem to my attention. I think I mentioned it at the last meeting. And the change includes public, and the new inclusion is private properties, because people were feeding animals and causing problems. We had an opportunity to walk on 14th Avenue east of Main Street, and that's a problem there too. So a tremendous amount of unpleasant, I guess I could just say stuff, all over the streets, and people were feeding the ducks, you know, and that's a wonderful thing, but it does cause problems. So now it's a law that you can't feed the animals because it's really a detriment to the entire neighborhood. But the problem seemed to mostly exist on 15th and 14th Avenues. Thank you.
Councilman Dolan?
I have a slightly funny story. I think the people might enjoy this. Several years ago, I was called to a property on around 14th, 15th Avenue with Andy Murley, the DPW supervisor, because the property owner complained about a white duck, a Muscovy duck, with about 12, 15 eggs in the nest. Would I come over and oil the eggs? Because that's what I do for the Canada geese. When Andy and I pulled up to the property, we looked. It was an empty nest. There was no duck around. The owner came out and said, "What are you looking for?" We said, "We got called here to oil the eggs." She goes, "We had them for breakfast."
That's not funny.
True story. I want to tease you on that. True story. My vote is yes.
Is there animal control that can just pick these up and put them somewhere? The ducks?
They won't take them anymore. There's so many.
Or they animal control?
Animal, no, they won't. There's so many. Yes, they won't take them.
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Garrett?
Yes. Next, second reading, public hearing, ordinance 2013-15, bond ordinance providing for the construction of front buildings in and of the Borough of Belmar, County of Monmouth, New Jersey, appropriating $7,500,000 thereof, and authorize the issuance of $7,125,000 bonds or notes of the borough to finance part of the cost thereof. This is now open for public hearing. Anyone wishes to speak, please raise your hand. Wait to be called on. Come up to the front. Any comments, questions on this? Yes, sir. The black shirt.
Still Villanova,
Next person.
I got it. Yeah, Don Paragon on 7th Avenue. Since the last meeting, I was listening to what was being said here, and we talked about the not being able to get the FEMA money because of it being the V zone for the buildings, and that's what brought the bond about. And we still have the 2 other buildings that are not being built right now, and I would assume that if it's $7.5 million for the 2 buildings that are going in, it's going to be something in that general vicinity, I guess, for the 2 other buildings should they eventually be built. Well, I started doing some research, and if you took the 2 buildings that are still due to be built, or even the 2 that you're going to be bonding this evening, and moved them to a non-V zone area, FEMA would still pay 90%. And they pay 90% not just for the buildings, but also for the acquisition of the property on which to build the buildings. So now you've got these 2 properties now left, and we're already spending $7.5 million. Why don't we find another place in town that could use a rehab and let FEMA give us 90% of the money to build those buildings and just abandon the 2 locations still left up on the boardwalk and basically do something for public interest elsewhere.
Yeah, what's that called?
It's an alternate project.
Alternate project. So the way it works is they would fund it, as you're saying. What that does is that takes away your ability to rebuild where it was before.
That's correct, but we're already bonding $7.5 million for 2 buildings now.
So I see what
So
you're
instead
saying.
of doing it on the boardwalk and bonding again and raising another $1 for the day passes and another $10 for the seasonal pass, let's take those 2 buildings and let's take them off the boardwalk. And let's put them somewhere else in town and use that alternate objective and not let the FEMA money go. And in reality, we can actually rehab part of the town. Now, I'll give you an example. You know where the Barclays going? Across the street from them is a property for sale. Wouldn't that be a nice location overlooking the lake over there to maybe redo one of the town initiatives? Buy the property up, 90% of that money could be used, paid for by FEMA, and then build the building with 90% of FEMA money as well. And we could do it for public interest and find another part in town, maybe even take, I don't know if it's completely attributable to additions on something, but maybe do something to the library, pulling that same spot that we had, using it for public interest, and let's put the money into a public building off the boardwalk.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, very good idea.
I would say, I would just, again, this is a great idea. We'd have to talk more about it, but off the top of my head, I think we'd rather put it on public property, because if you bought a private property, then you pay it on the tax bill.
However you have to do it, I will tell you that I was past president of Builders Association, so being a developer and a builder, I ran this by the attorneys that are on staff for us, and we have some of the best and brightest that know how to do this, and we know how to go down the processes. And they said everything I'm saying here is completely correct, and we should be looking towards this direction. And let's do it. You put it on public property, but if you do get private property, you are going to be paid for it.
No, I understand that, but I'm just saying, if you could, then you lose the tax rolls. But I think it's a great idea. We'll thank you for bringing it to our attention, and we'll follow through with it. And if you want to would you like to be involved in it?
I'd love to be involved. This is right in my sweet spot. So if you guys want to contact me, outside of the box thinking is where I'll go with this.
All right, and you promise to wear toned-down shirts from now on?
That's it. Villanova on 'em. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Joy DeSaint, this 101 6th Avenue. We received a lot of literature from you recently explaining how you're going to increase the beach badge by $1 and the seasonal badge by $10 and take that revenue and pay off the $7.5 million bond. I'd like you to explain to me and to our tourists how you can justify forcing them to pay for our community center.
That sounds like a legal question. Mr. Dupont, would you like to address it? I have your draft.
Yeah, you know, if you want to refer to it, well, there's a case right on point that allows for that. There's a case right on point that allows for that, and that's, in fact, the public advocate sued the Borough of Belmar a number of years ago. And the court specifically found that the cost of the boardwalk and pavilion improvements and reconstruction were appropriate costs to be charged against each of these collected by the borough.
For purposeful use.
Yes, that's the exact language from the court.
So what purposeful use to the beach is our community center?
Well, I'm not quite sure if it's a community center, it's a pavilion.
It's a multi-use building.
But I know
As
you
explained
called
to
it
you-
community center.
As I explained to you privately, this is not a building that's exclusive to the residents of the Borough of Belmar. The mailing I sent out that had a whole list of groups that use this is completely accurate. Now, one of the groups I mentioned happens to be the Girl Scouts. There isn't a troop in Belmar. There's a troop in Wall. That troop in Wall had used the old Taylor Pavilion. That troop did incorporate children from Belmar, but it grew up in the fifth from Wall and maybe other parts of Monmouth County. So the Taylor Pavilion is not going to be a building like our community center here. We only use this for Belmar residents. I don't think we use it for anyone but. The Taylor Pavilion will be open to anyone. So if you're from Malawa and you want to book a room, you can book the room just like Matt Doherty from Belmar can.
But you said 92% of the Taylor Pavilion was used by Belmar residents.
I said 92% of the time, the use is included Belmar residents, that's correct.
So is the remaining 8% going to be exclusively used for beachgoers for the purpose of the beach? Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying, I'll explain to you again. I'll use the Girl Scouts as an example. They're a troop that's located in Wall, children from Belmar. That group uses Taylor Pavilion. So I listed them as a group of people from Belmar who use the Taylor Pavilion.
But why do they have to use the Taylor Pavilion on the beach? Why cannot they use part of this municipal complex or another location?
You have to ask them.
But does that satisfy this municipal control over beaches, 40:61-22-20, where it says that
That case, the case law clearly supports the use of beach funds.
Mr. Dupont, if we do get a lawsuit over this, would you represent us for free, since you're so strong before?
I'm not quite sure what's the question of whether I'm strong for it.
Okay, if you, sorry,
I'm interpreting the case that was decided and is still clear law when the public advocate sued the Borough of Belmar. And that the language of the case law specifically states that the beach utility is allowed to be used for improvement of pavilions.
and if we do go to court and we lose this, what happens?
Well, it's not clear to me that we're going to lose it right now. This case law supports the use of beach utility funds for the pavilion.
could you just clarify when that case occurred?
That case occurred in 1989, 1990.
Was that the one relating to the special police?
No, that case dealt with specifically the language which we're talking about, which is NJSA 40:61-22.2.
Okay, but did we not have a previous case against Belmar because we took salaries for the special police and we offset it from the beach utility fund? And did we not have to then reimburse ourselves?
I can only say that this is a published case and legal precedent that we're following.
But isn't the other one also a published
I
case?
haven't seen any public cases regarding this particular statute dealing with the beach.
What's the case you're talking about? Just out of curiosity, what's the case you're talking about where Belmar received specific special police officers?
Well, at one point, the entire salary for the special police was taken out of the beach utility fund. And at some point, the public advocate sued us because ultimately,
I guess I'm asking, when was that?
1989.
You sure you're not confusing it with Mr. DuPont?
I'm absolutely not confusing with that.
Why don't you send him the information?
I can certainly send you that information. I'll get you the information that I have in all the cases that we've shepherdized with respect to this case.
Okay, but my question still,
That's your 5 minutes.
I don't think it's supposed to count when you answer me, and I
5
don't,
minutes after the microphone, you can either talk or ask questions, whatever you want.
I'll give you my card. When you walk back, I'll give you my card.
okay, thank you.
Any questions, comments? Yes, David.
David Schneck, 302 C Street. I think really it's irrelevant whether it's Belmar residents or people from Mawa or whatever using the pavilion, for different affairs, whether it's the Girl Scouts or other groups. It's not beach related though. The Girl Scouts is not a beach related activity. The law states that if we're going to use beach revenues to pay for it, it has to be for beach-related activities. So really, by drawing a distinction between whether it's Belmar residents or non-residents, that's not an issue at all, right? Legally, that makes, it has no bearing on it, right? Like a Girl Scout troop from Mawa is still not a beach-related activity, right?
But them coming to the pavilion at the Belmar Beach Run.
But it's not to support the beach, it's to support the Girl Scouts or whatever, right?
I guess you could make the case that by having the Girl Scouts here with their families, it helps advertise the beach run and draws more revenue.
Well, you could make all kinds of cases.
Well, I agree.
I'm skeptical that they're gonna buy it, because the law is pretty clear that the revenue from the beach is only supposed to be for the operation of the beach,
Well, I think as the
So,
attorney mentioned, it's for the improvement of the building of the pavilions at the beach.
well, it depends on what the pavilions are being used for. You could build a used car dealer at the beachfront. It's on the beachfront, but it's not for the beach,
We're not, just
So,
so no rumors get out there, we're not building.
but a banquet hall, people don't go to the beach. The beachgoers that are sitting on there, they got the sand all over them, the suntan oil, everything else, or been in the ocean. They're not going to a banquet, right?
I guess that's part of our problem that our architect broke banquet hall. It's no more a banquet hall than the previous Keller Pavilion was. The fact that they wrote that on there and people jumped all over it, I can't, it's our own fault, but it's no more of a banquet hall than the previous Keller Pavilion.
But it's not being used for beach-related activities. Just one other question related to this. I know I'm running out of time, just real fast.
No, you're good.
No? Okay. If we built it with the beach funds, and if the state public advocate sued us, and if we lost, does that mean that at that point, we would have to turn around and refinance the bonds out of municipal property, out of municipal taxes?
Well, I'll tell you a couple things. First off, there is no public housing. That position doesn't exist in state government. Second, we've talked to DEP about this, we've talked to FEMA, we've talked to plenty of people outside of Belmar. There's no one threatening a lawsuit. The only people who are threatening a lawsuit are people that live inside Belmar, which is somewhat insane. So the premise of what you're saying, it just doesn't add up. There is no public advocate.
Well, I think your part of
But
it.
wrong. Anyone can sue over anything. Someone can sue over the fact that we said you can't be a Plot Athens. So the idea that we shouldn't move forward because we may get sued, anyone can sue over anything.
Well, there's a
You
lot
have lots
of,
attorneys.
well, there are some people, like for example, Senate President Sweeney, that are saying that after receiving all this aid, we shouldn't even be charging for badges at all. Now, I totally disagree with that, but what I'm saying is we are certainly, leaving ourselves open to criticism. I'm afraid that someone like Sweeney is going to jump on this as an example of how beach revenues are being abused, And, just because there's no public advocate doesn't mean there aren't people out there that are gonna make an issue with this. That's all I wanna say. Steve Sweeney is a powerful guy, and he has been saying that there shouldn't even be beach, charge for beach badges at all. Like I said, I disagree with him on that, but I think that the revenue should be used to support the beach.
I have a question.
You want to let David speak before his time runs out?
Do you have a question for me?
Go ahead.
No, I'm done.
Actually, for the attorney, I figured you were. Once you start raising beach fees, $10 or whatever, my question is, does it have to be the public advocate that sues us, or can it be any outside and invoke this lawsuit?
The lawsuit exists, right?
I'm asking our attorney, I don't know. Can only the public advocate sue us over the price of our beach fees? And if we raise our beach fees, I don't know, I'm just afraid somebody's gonna
Sit down.
All right, does our chances increase if we raise our beach fees of pissing somebody off, I guess?
Well, you're the elected official. You
Right.
know whether you would aggravate
Chance.
someone.
Okay.
Any comments, questions on this one? Yes.
Joan Colombo, Bay Street. The buildings that were on the boardwalk, there were 4 of them, only 1 had insurance on it? Is there a reason the other 3 were not insured?
I think they had insurance, but they didn't have flood insurance. So if they would have burned down, we would have got money, so next time we'll burn. But, kids just kidding, that's insurance. But the new pavilions we're looking to put up, we've already got quotes for
Yeah,
insurance.
that was gonna be my question, what kind of cost?
So for Taylor, flood insurance estimate from our broker is $7,000 a year. Flood insurance for 10th Ave, $7,000.
For the entire building, 7,000 for flood insurance? Well, that's because it would be raised. Oh, okay, I was wondering, if anybody else is by the foot? However, all right, so you would have total insurance on the building?
Yes.
God forbid, we have a storm and we lose the building? Okay, thank you.
Mr. Burke.